interview with Finn Kitchen. Take one.
Well, hello, Finn. My name is Johnny.
Hello.
But first, let me introduce our guest, and they'll be introducing themselves. But Finn Kitchen, please introduce yourself.
Hello. I want to start off by saying thank you for having me on here. I am very privileged and excited to be here to get to share my work. But I'm Finn Kitchen, a poet based in Atlanta, currently getting my bachelor's in English at KSU, while also trying to obtain some more beautiful knowledge on poetry as I go along this BA and life cycle. But yeah, I'm Finn. Hello.
We're really excited for the project you have coming up. If you could talk to a little bit, just give us a little preview, because I do have an interview for you. So we'll go into that first, but just a little preview of what will be coming up.
Okay. So long story short, I am a featured poet in a song cycle, given the commission given to one of my really dear friends, Jarron Carlson, a composer based in San Francisco. I've been asked to be a featured poet. The song cycle focuses all around queer desire, queer love, and how that allows us to really transcend ourselves, and all of this combined turned into aria and song.
Oh, that's beautiful and exciting. And will you get the chance to actually go and see it?
No, I really wanted to fly back to San Francisco, but due to funds and timing, it's not allowed. But that's okay. It'll be live streamed, so I'll be able to get to watch it that way.
All right. So let's start with the basic interview. Okay. Finn, how long have you been writing poetry?
I would say a couple of years. I would consider myself a poet for about a year now. Mm-hmm. I started writing when I was going through a lot of traumatic experiences in my life, having a lot of revelations about my sexuality, my gender, who I was, overcoming a lot of different abuse traumas. And then it transformed into skill and outside of just a therapeutic practice. So yes, just a couple of years now.
That's very beautiful. Being able to take your pain and your experience and, transform into art.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is what art's all about. But
exactly.
That's awesome that you've been able to take that and then make something constructive out of it and help yourself, I assume, process and ideally also improve yourself.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful experience to see how I've been able to grow as a person with my art. A lot of people say, I would even say I am my art in a way. Walking poetry, life is poetry, poetry is life. And I get to not only work on myself as a human being, but make observations and put them onto paper and create images with word, which is something that has been beautiful. So, yeah.
Okay. And so are there any current poets that have inspired you or that you have seen that I really like what they've been doing here. Let me see how I can try to emulate them or try to see how I can do, following their style.
Yeah, so I actually just started reading a book by Randall Mann, a poet based in San Francisco. He's based in San Francisco, yes, like I just said. But he just released a book called A Better Life. I've been really intrigued by his writing style. It's been short lines, usually 2 to 3 lines and a couple of stanzas, but just the way that he uses his rhythm and his voice to go through a story in his poetry really inspired me to kind of make my poetry. I usually do longer lines, and I was like, I bet there's a better way to refine my work like Randall and kind of go through it the way he does. So that's been fun to see. His book, A Better Life, is all focusing about it's a queer man. So of course it's been inspiring to read poetry by other queer people and be able to feel more seen in a way and more like I can have a voice in my queer journey through my work. And it's been beautiful to see other writers do that. So yeah.
Any traditional poets that are your favorites?
Gwendolyn Brooks. I wrote a paper, it's slipping my brain. I should know the name of this poem right now, but it's slipping my brain. But Gwendolyn Brooks, I love her story as a human being, what she's had to overcome as a Black person in Chicago, going through all of those crazy times. And it's been beautiful just to see an outsider perspective, because I have not had to go through those experiences. And it's really beautiful to be able to get to read about those experiences and those traumatic events that have been placed onto people of color and be able to better somewhat understand if I can from their experience and their perspectives.
Nice. Have you been able to practice any, let's say, maybe group writing, or have like do poetry workshops and being able to work with other poets, whether they're students in your classes or people that you know locally?
Yeah. So at KSU, I actually took a poetry writing workshop class with one of my dearest favorite professors, Janice Arafai, excuse me, a beautiful poet based in Atlanta. She held a workshop at KSU, and I got to be a part of it. That is really what kind of launched me into, well, actually, I think I would love to be a poet. I would love to write. I think this is something that I can craft into skill and further advance in my own life. And yeah, it's really cool to be able to like work off other poets and like see what other people are doing, especially because like I read books about poetry books and people's experiences, but it's always so cool to be able to sit down and see what somebody wrote last week and where they are in a very, very present now moment. So yeah, group settings are very fun, and I got to do that, which was cool.
And so you said that you came to poetry.
Mm-hmm.
So did you always know that, at least when going to school, everyone's journey is different, and we all kind of find what we want to do, even though that might be different in the future, that you wanted to be an English major? Or did you sort of just like, oh, let me take this workshop here, or let me take a little class here, and then it just grabbed you? It grabbed at your heart.
Well, really what happened is I started off as a violin performance major. I was classically trained in violin for about 8 years. And I noticed throughout the program that this is not the path of life that I would like to take. It was just way too stressful for me emotionally. I'm a very sensitive person, and I love to work hard, but I felt like I wasn't working hard for something that I truly put my whole entire soul was in. And around this time, I started to write a lot more as a freshman doing violin performance. And I was talking to one of my dearest friends, Jenna, and I was like, I just cannot do this anymore. This is way too hard. And she was like, well, I mean, sorry. They were like, you're a writer. Why don't you go ahead and try to pursue this? And so I just took the leap, and I changed my major to English. And throughout that process, I've gotten to meet so many beautiful writers and professors who have given me the opportunity to feel affirmations and where I am in life. And the universe is constantly sending me signals that I personally feel like have told me this is where I need to be. And I have such an inner peace now, being able to pursue something that gives me such joy. And so that's kind of how I went around getting into poetry and everything.
Have you been published yet? Or will this aria be the first?
This is actually the first. It's my first time ever working with another artist. It's my first time ever getting to have my work displayed to the public, which is very exciting. I'm very excited to be able to share my voice and my life experiences with people, especially coming as a queer person, especially my first piece being about my queer desire and my queer love, and kind of opening up where I've been on this journey as a queer person. So it's very exciting, yes.
And so where do you write your poetry?
Oh, okay.
Or
it
is it just sort of, where does the inspiration come from? Like, because, you're always, are you just walking throughout, your life world and inspiration just comes at you? Or is it after you wake up? And then where do you like, putting your notes? Is it just in a notebook? Do you make voice memos?
Yes.
How does your process work?
So the process, it's multiple processes for me, I feel like. Sometimes I wake up and I'm in a very emotional state, and I'm like, okay, I need to get this all out of my body somehow. And so I just start writing. Or if it's not an emotional based beginning for a poem, it's just from inspiration walking around in my life. If I see somebody doing something that intrigues me, I will sit down and write about it. Or if I have a thought or idea, a conversation, I've noticed it just kind of comes in random moments for me, and I've had to learn to carry a little notebook with me. So yes, I write in a notebook to carry with me so I can jot down the idea and then get home and try to piece something together based on that experience. Voice memos, yes, too. I've just now started doing that because I tend to be a very forgetful person. So I do often leave my notebook at home. So voice memos have been a very nice way just to like get in a corner and say what I have to say real quick so I can use it for later.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I had a question and then went through my slide. Um, so since you trained 8 years to become a violinist, so I have to assume you're also very inclined musically.
Yes, I would say. As of lately, I have tried to get back on my classical music enjoyment. I've always enjoyed it. And I guess I shouldn't have said enjoyment, but my classical music collection, you could say. But yes, musically, I love music, and I guess you could say I'm musically inclined.
How often, or have you ever had the feeling of combining your two arts?
Yeah.
Now, I know you're starting in your poetry journey, and it's fantastic that your first poem will be published as basically into an aria, having all that music there.
Yeah.
And while there is rhythm already with poetry, have you thought of adding, whether music or either it's music you play, or adding some classical or whatever to your poetry?
Yeah, so definitely. It's what I've loved about this song cycle that I've gotten to be a part of, is that it combines two things that I do love, writing and sound. And it's so cool to see like how I love to read my poetry, perform it. I feel like the sound and reading part is so much a part of it as the structure of the actual poem, and being able to add a different sound, the classical music or whatever sound that might be to the words, I feel like just brings it all together. So yes, I would really love to continue being able to work with other composers or people who are in sound engineering or whatever that may be. I often actually do write with sounds. So like going back to the process, my writing process question, I usually have some type of classical music, Beethoven, Ravel, some classics in there while writing. But yeah, I'd love to be able to combine those more in the future and now. And I have some plans coming up with some friends to put some things together with sound and words. So I'm very excited for those to be coming out.
So when it came to finding the composer, which is your friend, and their name is?
Jarron Carlson.
When you found Jarron and you guys decided, or Jarron, I guess, had this idea of making this aria about queer love, when did they come to you and ask you, or did you go to them and you're like, well, I have all this material here that I would love for you to use?
Well, actually, it was a very organic way that it happened, which is another reason why I'm very excited, because I didn't, it was a very organic way. I was in San Francisco visiting my dear friend Jenna that I mentioned before, and they, like a year ago, they sent me a video of Jarron reading this poem. I forgot what they were reading. And I was like, oh my gosh, when I come, I have to meet this person. They seem like a beautiful human being, and I would love to just like get to say hello while I'm there. And so Jenna was like, okay, let's set it up. So we met at a park in San Francisco, and we were just hanging out, having a good time. And I brought my poetry just to write. And like, I didn't know how the park hang was going to go. Sometimes you get together with friends and you just read and write, and sometimes you don't. So I wound up getting mentioned that I was a poet, and Jarron asked me to read some pieces, or actually I offered because I was excited to read. And so I began to read some poetry to them, and they were very excited about it, as I was excited to read. And I knew that they were a composer already, so I was like, if you ever want to work together, let me know. I would love to start working with another artist on something that we can work together on. And they were like, well, I have this song cycle coming up that I would love for you to be a part of. And I was like, yes, I will do that for sure, 100%. And so that's kind of how it happened. It's just an organic meeting of two people getting to create some beautiful art.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
And so, yeah, let's talk more about the song cycle.
Yeah.
When is it happening?
Sorry.
No, go ahead. When is it happening?
It's happening tomorrow evening, 7:30 p.m. San Francisco time, 10:30 p.m. Atlanta time, and a performance center in San Francisco. On stage, it's going to be sung by a beautiful opera singer by the name of Lindsay, one of Jarron's close friends. I've yet to get to meet, but I'm so excited to hear her perform my work and Jarron's work as well. So, yeah.
And how will people not in San Francisco be able to tune in?
So
be able to watch?
It is going to be live streamed. I guess the only way I can give you, I don't have the link written down, but if anybody listening is on Instagram, you can go to my Instagram, Finn, Finn Kitchen, just like the room. The link is in my bio, and feel free to take a listen that way.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you honor us with the opportunity, if you could actually read some poetry you have,
Yeah, of course.
at least so we can use it for Melodically Challenged,
Yeah.
and so we can also put it on our socials at Album 88.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So I guess I'll read the poem for the song cycle that's coming out tomorrow. Yeah. It's called I Pray God Never Takes Me Home. Here, in a message to sweaty, stained sheets, as I walk across the street, he opens the door to sin. I greet him with green painted nails that curl onto canvas bags. He grabs my shirt, calls me cute boy, pretty outfit. Would he think I'm pretty in a dress too? I shift my shoulders, shut my thoughts. His smoke-filled nails run across my hips as I crawl into his pink, yellow-stained sofa, where his hands lift me into heaven. I feel his raging skin and dripping feet, making his legs shake like a Sunday church choir redemption. In the morning, he cherry-picks my garden, asking where to throw the seeds. I cry out in salvation as I throw mine into the heavens.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Would you like me to read another one as well?
If you would, please.
Okay. So this one is called Saturday Breakfast Morn, M-O-U-R-N as in morning, just for those listening. Mother's hair was set to dry and pancake dew made blueberries shine while I fumbled into a syrup-stained seat. His buzz entered the room, haze became clarity, oranges became juice, table-topped food turned to floor mats mopped up by mother's hands while sticky covered fingers turned profanities into love. I laughed in my head, cried when he left, a selfish plea, he called it, to want a father, not a man.
Fantastic. Thank you
You're
very
very
much.
welcome.
No, thank you for sharing. And so this aria is coming up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you have planned, I guess, in your future? Or what are your desires of what you want to do with your poetry?
Yeah. First of all, I love the word desire that you used because it is a desire. It feels like this yearning thing that just needs to come out of me sometimes. So thank you for using the word desire. So coming up next, I am putting together a collection about my own queer journey, specifically with my sexuality as a gay human being, but as well as this newfound exploration in my gender. I started going by they, them as of the last couple of months in hopes to just get some self answers for myself that I can only give to myself. And it's beautiful that I got to have this song cycle experience getting to write about queer desire because about a couple months ago I started using they, them, and I was like, I think I know I'm not a man. And it kind of set the tone for this next collection that'll be coming out, where I just want to use my art to work through some beautiful gender revelations that I've had with myself and get to write about my experience coming out as gay and also coming out as non-binary for now, possibly she, her in the future. I don't know where I'm going to head, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, that's up next. What I'm very excited about is that collection. And of course, I have an EP coming out, hopefully in the next couple of months, with a dear friend of mine, a violinist based in San Francisco, where word is going to be met with sound. So yes, I would love to do more sound and word work as it's coming out. But yeah, for now, that is what's happening.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And very good luck.
Thank
Well, not even
you.
good luck. I hope you feel liberated in your journey and feel you find more of yourself, because that's what life is.
Yeah.
We have to find more of ourselves into the things we do and feeling that we control our lives, at least to a certain extent.
Yeah. Thank you.
So where can our people find you and follow the aria again?
So as of now, it's on my Instagram. A website is coming up where you can read more of my work. But for now, Instagram is the best way to reach me and see this song cycle. My Instagram is just Finn Kitchen, Finn, kitchen just like the room. And the link is in my bio if you would like to check it out that way. And of course, if you're not on Instagram, you can please feel free to email me, Finn Kitchen, FINN, kitchen just like the room, @gmail.com.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.